Alright, today we're going to be diving into the world of tiny burrs. This is the Kutzall, here it just says on here, 4-piece Rotary burr detail kit. And it's just landed on my bench. I'm going to put it through its paces. We're going to carve something small, precise, and a little bit judgmental. I'm carving an eye. It's going to be looking back at me, judging me. Am I doing a good job? I don't know. Let's see. Let's get on with it. Okay, so here is our victim today. It is a little round piece with a eye, whoop, it's upside down, marked on it. So hopefully it won't look like some kind of Picasso-like eye at the end. A little bit more realistic, I hope. Now these detail burrs, they're really only used for details, so we still need to block out with our normal burrs. So there I've got the Kutzall Flame Burr, and I'm just putting it in, and you can sort of see the size comparison between the new burrs, the detail burrs, and the usual kind of ones that I use. Yeah, going through them all there. We had the sphere, and now I had the taper, and just sort of like rounding off the eyeball there. It's sort of like taking shape now, and now I'm kind of ready for those details. So I'm going to start to choose these detail burrs. Going to go with this one first. It's got a nice point on it. Whenever you have a point, you can get sort of like a nice kind of angle into the wood, sort of like a nice crease. So we'll put that crease at the top of the eye. We'll just go around. You can sort of see me there. I'm dragging it through the wood. You don't want to point it straight down because it will sort of like move around. You have more control if you drag a burr through the wood. And then I'm using the side of the burr here. You can sort of see me just going along, just taking out bits that I kind of don't want, smoothing it out. Sort of looking pretty good there. Pencil in. I'm going to put a cross in the middle just to sort of like show you what we need to do is we need to sort of like round out the eye. So we're going to use that one, that's sort of like a ball nose burr there. And it's just sort of like a good general kind of burr for flattening out convexes. So we just use the side and go over it. What I like about these burrs is they take off quite a bit of wood, but still you have a lot of control with them. So I'm using the sphere there, and you'd use a sphere like you'd use the bigger spheres, you know, to sort of use it and sort of just shaping the eye and contours around it. Just penciling in the eyelids. Now these are only rough approximations at this stage. So I'm using that pointed burr again, and I'm slowly going under that sort of like pencil mark. I'm not worrying about going too deep or anything like that. I think it's important to point out at this stage is the eye is not formed by doing these lines once. Yeah, so a lot of the time I'm going to be putting the eye in, and then I'm going to be adjusting it over and over again. So I might sort of adjust the size of it. I might make the eyelid more closer to the pupil, all these kind of things. So it's not like a one and done, dusted kind of thing. You just got to keep on sort of manipulating that eyeball. That is really nice, that burr with a point, to get in that little corner there and start sort of like making the eye pupil kind of rounder. So I've sort of like pressed into that part. Now you can sort of see me on the eyelid now. What I'm doing is I'm bringing the eyelid sort of to match the eye pupil. So you sort of like round out the pupil, then bring the eyelid back to the pupil because you don't want too much gap there. Really nice these. You sort of like, I'm using a really light touch and I'm just going over the wood, making it rounder. Often when you're using burrs in these situations, it's hard to control them. Maybe like a diamond burr, you're not going to be taking enough wood off, so you're going to be sort of like pressing it quite hard so it can burn the wood. But these are really quite nice because they take off quite a bit but are still quite controllable. And I'm just sharpening up that eyelid there just by lightly going just under it a little bit, and sort of use sort of like the flat bit of the burr. Now you can sort of see me on that opposite eyelid now, and what we are doing here is what we did on the other side is bringing it down a little bit to get closer to the eye pupil. And once again you can sort of see me, I'm going across that, just that edge there, just to make it a little bit sharper. You don't want sort of like little bits there, and then taking it out a little bit past the point of the end of the eye. Now I'm onto that flame burr. It's really good for shaping this flame burr. I guess compared to a normal flame burr, the end of this is a little bit more round, I guess you would say, and it's just really nice for general shaping. So I draw the pupil in, well, the iris I mean, and now I'm using that sort of ball nose one, and I'm just going really lightly, trying to form quite a nice kind of circle there in the eye, and I'll take that back a little bit. Just be careful of the top eyelid when you're doing this kind of stuff, because you don't want to hit it with the burr. So once we've got that kind of sorted, what we want to do next is we want to put in the little black dot that's going to be there. I'm just using that pointy burr again, just put it in a little bit. It seems to work quite well, that does. You really see that point there, it's just hanging over a little bit, so I'm just touching it there, just lining it up a bit so the top eyelid looks a little bit nicer. And this is a really extreme close-up, so you're really seeing all the little, it looks quite rough, but looking back at it from a little bit of a distance, it looks a lot better. So you can really use that point on that burr to get under cuts happening there. And I'm using it also to put in a few sort of like wrinkles on the bottom eyelid. Yeah, fellow carvers, the eye is judging me. I can see it. It's looking at me. I'm looking at it. It's looking at me. I'm looking at it. Anyway, we're going to carry on carving. We're almost at the finish, and I'm going to give you sort of like my opinion on these burrs and where you would use them. I'm not finished with them yet because I really want to do some other videos on these burrs, because I think they're kind of a game changer. Okay, so what do I think of these tiny little detail burrs? Well, I think they kind of fit in a real unique kind of area, and it's somewhere in between the normal size burrs and the diamond burrs. And I'm just going to explain that real quickly so you can sort of see what I'm sort of talking about. So here we have a taper burr, and it's quite big. And what you would normally do is I would go from this and then try and start smoothing it out with kind of like little burrs with diamond on there to smooth it out. But what we're going to do now is we have got an in-between kind of stage. So we've got sort of like your taper burr there, and then your detail burr, and then you could sort of like really start smoothing it out with your diamond burrs. And so I kind of think it's going to speed up the process quite a bit. I think you're really going to like them if you get these burrs, if you're into sort of like tiny little carvings and putting sort of like details in them. Played around with all the kind of wrinkles in this one as well, just to get the kind of feel for it. Really good for kind of like those nostril parts and going into deep parts like that. Because I find like when you're doing it with a diamond burr, it's going to burn the wood a lot, and Your diamond burrs don't have the amount of grit on there to take off a lot of wood, so you're going to take off quite a bit more wood with this, and then you're going to go in with your diamond burrs and just smooth things out. Easy peasy. Right, we'll see you in the next one. Hey, and thank you to all my members for being in the channel. Really helps me out, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye everybody.